Jackie, for the other side of the aisle, we're joined now by Republican Congressman from Wisconsin, a member of the House Transportation and Infrastructure and Armed Services Committees, Mike Gallagher. Congressman Gallagher, thank you for taking time. You just heard your colleague there, Congresswoman Houlihan, saying that they can't get anything done, Democrats in control, because of the hyperbolic and extreme positions that some of you are taking. Your reaction?
Well, the Democrats have unified control of government, and they've used that power to get a lot of things done that are actually causing inflation. They came in and passed a $2 trillion spending blowout bill that was supposed to be a COVID bill, but was filled with non-coronavirus-related provisions, had a massive effect on inflation. The second thing they did was pass a Green New Deal bill that they sold as an infrastructure bill that also had a massive effect on inflation. And then the first thing that President Biden did when he took office on January 21st of last year was to launch a war on domestic energy production in the United States. And now Americans, hardworking class Americans, are paying the price at the pump every single day. And then so if they want to blame us for the economic crisis we're in, they're conveniently forgetting the last year of history.
Well, and Americans, as you rightly point out, feeling the pain at the pump. But you heard Jackie talking with Congresswoman Houlihan about the White House appears to want you to know that when prices go up at the pump, it's not Biden's fault, it's Putin's fault or someone else's fault. But when they come down, they deserve credit. Do you agree with that?
Well, think how crazy it is for them to be bragging that prices have come down when the national average is still above $4 a gallon for gas, $2 more than it was when President Biden came into office. This is nothing to brag about. I get that Ron Klain lives on Twitter, but that's not the real world. The real world is here in Northeast Wisconsin, and people are feeling the pain. Look also at the contradiction between what the president is doing. Right now, he's going all over the world begging people for oil. He was in Saudi Arabia trying to get them to increase production. You know, he's talked about reaching out to Venezuela. At the same time, he's talking about the emergency of climate change and is on the cusp, the dangerous cusp, of declaring a national climate emergency. These things don't make sense. They're contradictory, and they can't seem to free themselves from the grip of the climate change wing of the party.
I want to ask you about that because you actually voted against former President Trump in that emergency declaration to get funding for the border wall, and now you are also opposing any presidential emergency declaration on climate change, which appears to be forthcoming. But you also see some hypocrisy here.
Well, at the time, I certainly heard about it from my Republican friends, everyone on my side of the aisle. But what I said to them is, under the Constitution, only Congress has the power to appropriate money. So if a president comes in and takes appropriated money and redirects it for another purpose, it's unconstitutional. But also at the time, I said, I guarantee you that once you open this Pandora's box, the Democrats are going to declare a national climate emergency or a gun emergency and wield the massive powers of the executive branch to do unconstitutional things. And that's exactly what President Biden is about to do. And the same Democrats who are criticizing President Trump and losing their minds about the southern border emergency declaration are now praising President Biden and egging him on to do it. Bernie Sanders is one of them. Even more moderate Democrats like Tim Kaine. It is hypocrisy of the highest order, and it's extremely damaging to the Constitution, and it exacerbates this trend of lawless executive branch government through executive fiat, and we careen back and forth between wildly different approaches because we have different presidents. It's unhealthy for our republic.
And it sounds like your criticism suggests an executive overreach. If Republicans win the House back in the midterms, do you think that something should be done about that?
I have a bill with Senator Mike Lee to claw back some of these emergency powers that we've surrendered over the last 3 decades. We need to have the same project across the board when it comes to war powers, when it comes to all these areas where Congress has really surrendered its primacy under the Constitution and basically passes bills that are nothing more than a fill-in-the-blank provision for the executive branch. That's very unhealthy. So I very much hope that when we take control of the House, we will be committed to that constitutional reform and revitalization project, and that come 2025, we'll have a president that is more respectful of the Constitution and willing to give up some power back to the legislative branch, which should be the dominant branch.
We shall see. Congressman Mike Gallagher, thank you for taking time today, sir.
Thank you.